where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons, and either deliver a great deal of mental trauma or receive it and then ask, please, sir, can I have another? Following on from our vid conversation. Previously, the Cupcake Coterie, which is every time I say that, it's just, given what you guys are becoming, is just such a pithy name, and it's kind of great. We're trying to put together a few last-minute bits of preparation, because they are going to head down to Star Coast and attempt to resurrect the heart of that barony, and sort of call out an ancient green dragon, which will be receiving that message fairly soon. So they're in their last bits of preparation because it's going to be a day and a half down there, and they probably need to do the resurrecting of the heart first, because if somebody that they really need for the resurrection to happen dies, they have a problem. So currently they are in the not exactly besieged anymore town of Goldendale, having just left the smithy of one Jenna Delbree, who just goes by Jenna in town. And they picked up some nifties and clarity after having basically gone with Farida on the little tour of the back room, and came out bouncing almost as much as Firtha's big little sister. Went, I should probably go and speak to the Baron, since he's probably not going to throw me in jail or eat my head. So, if I could, I know you're going to see Lanark. If you can, I'd like a crossbow. If not, a short bow's fine. If there happen to be any special bolts or arrows or whatever might be needed in that sort of thing, I know it's probably playing a little much to a theme, but I was thinking fire. Hey, she told me all of this the other day, so I'm just relaying this.
We'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
You can definitely do that. Yes.
If you can't find anything, it's okay. I mean, I know this is Goldendale. It's not like the market in Bellerace, but I suppose there's does the quartermaster in the army camp do that kind of thing? Mostly looking at Remy and Barnabas, and they do occasionally, but do you really want to deal with that weirdo again?
I wouldn't trust anything like that out of him. Her.
Possible, but
whatever.
Them.
They'll want more time than we have, I'd expect, but
Well,
can ask around and see what he has on hand.
I would have hoped that, if they're preparing for war, they might have a couple of extras that they might be willing to part with.
We'll check in.
Worth a shot.
If Lanark doesn't have anything, because I know that fire arrows aren't exactly in the same realm as dollhouse furniture. Anyway, I'll go, and I'm trying to get Francine ennobled. I'm going to go and try to get someone ennobled. This is my life now.
You can do this.
Just waves and heads off and turns around. I'll see you back at home later. I'll probably be later than you, because I've got to go that way and then back. Alice is just looking and going, she really is just too damn cute.
You alright,
Do you not know what a crush looks like?
Hazel?
I mean, it's not always. I know. I don't emote that way, and Ree doesn't emote much at all. But this is what a crush looks like when multiplied by Hazel.
Yeah, I thought I'd sent something the other day.
This is why Hazel doesn't take a roll.
You're adorably unsubtle.
Hazel puts the B in subtle.
Well done.
I should know.
Yeah. I mean,
Ghibli and turning red.
Anyway.
Just walk over to Hazel. Glom.
you guys are such dorks. It's great.
Just glom. Lean in. Payback.
And LSA just turns to Remy and goes, "This is what I meant by turnip." To explain, I once described my falling into proxy family as kind of being like oralness, except some of your relatives are weird and kind of senile. So sometimes you'll get exactly the thing you want, and sometimes you'll get something pretty, but you don't know what to do with it. And sometimes senile uncle wrapped a turnip is useful but weird.
Fair.
All right.
Useful but weird. You know, I like that.
It's probably better than most of what people have said about you. I
Yeah,
hate to say.
Although I still will never forget. I am an inspirational bunny. Thank you, Clarity.
So anyway, we had Jenna, Lanark, the
Well,
threads.
we've seen- Well, we've seen Jenna.
Yep.
I guess
And
and
well, wait. I guess I can't really call it Edwina's anymore.
well, we'll call it Edwina's in her honor until we know whether the name is changing.
Okay,
Mhm.
I like that idea.
So, onward to Lanark's. If nothing else, we can tell him that he's not going to get turned into things if he tries to investigate
Yep.
Dollhouse anymore.
Oh, I guess I should let go. Okay.
That
That
would
makes
probably
walking
be
easier. Sorry,
wise.
Hazel.
I could just as easily carry you, but you know.
Okay, I want to see this.
Uh-uh. Nope. Nope.
I
Come
want
on,
to see
Darvin.
this. I want to see
Do
this.
Oh Lord.
Um,
Lord.
And I'm based.
Make me an athletics
And-
check.
Oh god.
Let's see if I can fireman's carry
Trying
this
really
guy.
hard not to resist this.
Said athletics, right?
Yes, I did. And
16.
yes, just to warn, I've started the music again. So yeah, I mean it's a fireman's carry. It's not going to take that much. So all of a sudden you've got Hazel who stands several inches shorter than Darvin. Just hoik.
Yeah, eep. Eep.
Well, not so much eep that way because he's sort of flung over her shoulders.
Eep.
Come on,
Okay.
let's go.
And off to Lanark's with a shoulder Darvin.
Just really confused, but okay, we're doing this. This is a thing that might as well happen. Okay.
It's Hazel. Kind of comes with the territory.
And to be fair, I did goad her into it, so
And
you know
look
she.
who's talking, Ava. Remember how I tossed you?
That was a different situation.
Yeah, but that means she needs to practice at putting people in yeet position.
Alright.
Please don't eat the bard.
I don't know. I think if you're gonna eat anybody, the bard is probably a good person to eat.
Well, just not right now, okay?
But there's snow. There's no better time to eat someone than into a snowbank.
Okay, you can eat me into a snowbank.
Okay, eat him into a snowbank.
I'm going to I'm going to look for an appropriately sized one, so he's not
Yes.
going to land on.
Yes, no, there's definitely. I mean, nobody's been shoveling anything, so another athletics check to see how far can you yeet the bard.
I'm too pro. Roll a botch there. That was close.
Yeah, but you still wind up misjudging how much up you need to do, hit yourself in the back of the head with his chest, and go over face first into the snowbank with Darvin kind of thankfully not landing on top of you, but sort of rolling off to the side. So all of a sudden it's Hazel's face full of snow. It's like,
Well, I didn't land on my instruments, at least.
yeah, you sort of landed on your shoulder and just like. Okay, you see that's the thing. With the people we normally do everything is a challenge, and maybe I should have quit while I was slightly ahead.
I hold out a hand to Darvin.
Thank you.
And Alisei just sort of reaches into the snowbank and lifts Hazel, sets her back on her feet.
Oh, hey, Hazel.
That's what,
Come,
that's what I get for being a klutz.
come here, and I'll. Going to be better.
That's mending, damn it.
Mending, I keep forgetting. Just a lot of gling and gling and gling and gling to get all the snow and dirt and stuff off.
It's mostly snow. She picked a really good, deep snowbank.
Okay, well, at least I can kind of dry her off a little.
Yeah. No, that's entirely fine. Just saying that probably not so much the dirt. Because she was being nice to you. Look, we need to have fun while we can.
Yeah, true.
That wasn't exactly death from above, but it was a good try.
I mean, nothing can really top that, can it?
I
Yeah.
win.
As is right and proper.
Anyway, come on. I'm sure, and sure, she points at the window, and sure enough, Lenark is leaning on the windowsill, and you can't hear him, but he's very clearly laughing his ass off.
I'm
And
grinning
and
and
she
waving.
and she just kind of draws the sword and does this really flourishy bow. Should we go
So I'm going to.
in?
Shall we go in?
Yes, we should
I'm
go
going to
in.
make my way over and knock.
It's a.
Alisei just opens the door. He's laughing too hard to be able to open the damn thing. Be polite. And sure enough, when she opens the door, you hear the bellowing. Come on, in, shut the door. I do try to remember that some people actually feel the cold.
Yeah, I'm going to stump on in.
And Lenark finally gets himself under control. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you
We
for
are fun,
giving,
I hope, yes?
Thank you for giving me such entertainment.
Glad you enjoyed it.
I did the flourishy bow because I didn't want to do it in here. Too much wood. Yes, well, if the blades did not do so much of the flourishing with their swords when they did the bowing and everything else, they would probably be less useful. But kinder to furnitures. Now, how can I help you?
Speaking of furniture, FYI, we did speak to Jaloy, and we got her to understand your intent. And now, if you need or want to take a look at her various the loom, for instance, and such, she's okay. She understands now.
However, you are going to have to wait until they get back from their little evacuation, so please don't turn up at the house in the next few days.
Oh, yes.
There are to be evacuatings, but there is an army in your front yard. Why would you need to evacuate if there is an entire army in your front yard?
It's a long story.
Okay.
Alice, you're probably the best at explaining things without putting feet in faces.
Okay. Basically, we are adventurers. Adventurers tend to draw trouble, and some of the trouble that is drawn does tend to involve far less pleasant draconic presences than our friendly silver gentleman over here. Because we do not want, everybody we care about to get annihilated in the interests of pissing us off even more and possibly demoralizing us, we're having the kids who are far less adept at defending themselves, and Faraday's like, kid, you're 8. I don't care if there was 16 years. You didn't live them. You're like 8. I'm 9. That's not a big difference, kid. Point is, army in front yard and us passing through means that any difficulties that we may have sparked off in the course of our adventures would probably land on there, if for no other reason than to try and prevent this army from liberating Goldendale properly. So we're drawing it away, but it still might pass through, and we don't want to risk the kids, so the kids are evacuating. And obviously so are parents, and because, they're not just going to dump kids on strangers. That is something of a pity. I am hearing rumors about the mothers. Yeah, but consider that they're keeping that particular farmstead, and no, we won't be telling you where it is, just in case. Keeping that safe is probably a particularly good payment for helping look after a dozen children. And all of a sudden, they looks at all of you, and all of a sudden, you have common sense who is willing to speak. Also, there is non-aggressive Minotaur. Heavily armed, but non-aggressive. This is new.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
sorry to introduce.
Yeah, this guy is actually about your size.
Okay. So he's a biggin.
Yeah, he is. If you've ever played Overwatch, think Reinhardt.
That is a very large man.
Behold the power of Google.
Barnabus.
Mm-hmm. Hi, my name's Barnabus. It's a pleasure to meet you.
I am Yevray Lenark. Everyone just calls me Lenark because nobody can pronounce my given name properly.
I have tried. I have failed.
You do not want to know what it means in Dwarven, how she pronounced it, and Froseth will know, and so will Remy, that there is a particularly unpleasant word in Dwarven that if you mangled Yevray hard enough, you could make it into. Look, yeah, I only with Dwarven, it's mostly the curse words for me. So yeah, even I know that's yeah. No, I would not pronounce it like that. So, I think I have met everyone now properly. Did I see your young Clarity friend?
Yeah,
She's back.
She's very much back and on her way to talk to the Baron.
You are going up in the world. You are proper adventurers now to be speaking with heads of state. Yeah, they met. They met or at least spoke to every single one of the governors of Equitas.
That was terrifying. That was very terrifying.
Hazel. Remember, they're just people.
Yeah, they're big bosses of countries. They're very scary when they get going.
Give me a deception check, Hazel.
All right. 10.
You lucked out. He rolled a 3. You for adventurer. I would say you for adventurer scared too easily, but then again, you talk to folks like this, so I imagine that yes, speaking to big government people would be terrifying. And I suppose no one is ever entirely sure what the governor of Egref and points surrounding is. There are rumors that they are Archfey.
Archfey?
Well, Nong's
That's never good.
And Alice is like, okay, at this point, I think this is probably going to be okay. Because, anyway, I'm going to go and talk to Barnabus for a minute. Because I think that some things need to be said if we're not going to put feet, hooves, claws, whatever, in respective mouths. And you guys do the shopping. It grabs Barnabas and it just starts shoving him out the door.
You'll be fine, Barnabas.
Just.
Go.
And she's still shoving.
Go.
He goes with the shoving. He's not fighting back.
Yeah. Even if he did, you'd have to roll. She's not that much weaker than you, dice-wise. She's built on a base of barbarian. So yeah, she gets him outside and goes, look, the reason that got a little bit weird, and I think it's probably okay to tell you because you're part of this adventure group, so nobody's gonna get turned into rabbits again. The 5 governors of the countries of Equitas are known as the 5 Claws of Bahamut. The reason they are known as that is because they are ancient metallic dragons in disguise. Some better disguised than others, given that Calatiel, the copper dragon individual in sitting around in Egref, is not even trying for human.
Oh, well, okay.
But that's why the look on Hazel and the look on Darvin, the reason that was because the reason we've more or less established that it's okay for us to tell members of the party as long as they don't make it public knowledge about what the dragons are, is that, I mean, technically it was Hazel who told me, but Darvin was sort of acting as spokesperson and took the brunt of the punishment when they told me about it without say-so. The punishment they decided on was a curse on Darvin, so that once per day, for anywhere between 1 to 4 hours, as far as we ever timed it, he turned into a rabbit. Not your standard polymorph either. If you hit him as a rabbit, he would die.
Okay, so right. Okay, I'll keep my trap shut and don't say anything about the governors. I can do that.
Yeah, not in general, but we're gonna wind up talking about them a lot probably, so it was important that you know.
Well, I thank you, because that would save me from shoving my hooves right up my mouth at some point, and who knows what they would turn me into? Maybe a duck or something.
Well, so far as far as the stories we've had, it's been a lot of rabbits. Darvin's been a rabbit a lot, and we had an elf with us that got they were fighting a thing just off on the coast off Belrace, and he got turned into a sandpiper. Those little birds,
tiny little
little
hoppy bird.
tiny little peep birds that run along the beach, sandpipers. Yes.
I'd rather be a duck.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't necessarily care what you'd rather. The funniest thing though was that when we came back to Belrace, after that and whole bunches of other weird shit, which I will regale you with the stories of sometime. They ran into Clarity. This was before she came to join us up again, because she was supposed to be staying in Belrace studying. And as soon as he caught sight of her, all of a sudden Darwin, rabbit, and he didn't even seem to notice. It was just, he was about to start running, and then just rabbit, and just hop, 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 without breaking stride at all.
Well, thank you for warning me that there sometimes could be a case of suddenly rabbit running around.
No, he got the curse broke on him, and now he has Bahamut's favor, apparently.
That's very good.
Sometimes. I'm sure it probably freaks him out a little bit.
This is going to sound incredibly ignorant, but who or what is Bahamut?
Oh, fuck. Okay.
So, to clue you in, where I'm from, there's no god. We don't have them. They don't run around. So,
okay.
I assume some form of deity, probably draconic in nature, but that's like
okay.
all
Let me explain to you a little bit about our mythology, because you're gonna need a lot of it with us. Okay, we'll begin quickly with Bahamut, because he's tied to one of ours, and then I'll start explaining some of the other ones that you'll need to know a lot about if you're hanging out with us. Bahamut, yes, is a philosophers and theologians are a little bit off about whether Pelor or Bahamut came first, or whether they just turned up at the same time. But what Pelor, sun, life, creator god, is to all things humanoid and everything else, Bahamut is more or less to the draconic types. Is supposed to be the forebearer of the metallics, and generally big on truth, justice, defending those who cannot defend themselves, etc., 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 which honestly is kind of, I think, why he decided that, yeah, okay, this Darwin guy, I'll stick a tiny little bit of me in your soul now, because we just gain God's attention. And yes, Pelor is one of the big ones for us. God of life, light, healing, sun. Crops sideways a bit because you've got Beori, who's a goddess of nature's bounty, which cross references into. There's stories about the various deals and flings and kinky one-nighters between Pelor and Beori that decided that. But anyway, point is that Hazel is a cleric of Pelor. It is entirely her thing. If you don't have gods, you probably don't have the same kind of celestial beings as we have.
Not really, no.
So there's a whole sort of hierarchy of winged, not really human beings out in the celestial plane.
Angels? We have those.
No, not quite. I don't think. The one, what are angels exactly?
Humanoids with wings, generally.
No, they're
They tend to join the Boros Legion more than anything else. Generally, do-gooders and people looking to smash evil. Other than that,
Okay, first of all, no, definitely not just humanoids with wings. They tend to look unbelievably different. Solars are the rarest and the most powerful of them. They do have wings, they are humanoids, but they're about twice the height-wise of the average humanoid. They're large, they're excessively powerful, and there's only, like, under 30 of them in the entire world. And some of them serve at the behest of specific gods. There's one that serves Palor. His name is Ziriel. Ziriel was responsible for the celestial spark that made me Azamar. Because I was born to humans. I didn't know anything about this.
Okay.
The thing is that, okay, now we're getting into some significant storytelling here. So let me set the scene for you. I was working in a brothel in Alzor High because my previous adventuring party got themselves killed when we were doing the trial to become brass arrows, which is what you have to do if you're going to be allowed to hunt in Alamaver territory. I came back alone. Obviously, we didn't catch what we were after. I'm the last one left. I failed the trial. And because at the time I just looked like a very blonde human, and I lived that way for the most part, nobody was taking me seriously. And, you know, a girl's gotta eat. So I went to work at a lovely establishment called the Tipsy Pixie, and then this lot walk in.
Okay.
And, you know,
follow.
I watch them because they look like a wonderfully motley band of interesting, and yeah, okay, I'll admit it quietly, but I mean the at the time solely paladin. Oof, mwah. And surprisingly enough, the paladin decides that when she wants a little bit of companionship for the evening, she chose me. So I
see.
So I lucked out there. But the thing is that before any of that went down, I'm like, okay, they seem an open and accepting bunch. Maybe I'll ask if I can join them on their brass arrow trial. And they did let me. We went out. They tell me I was invaluable. I mean, I beheaded the Umber Hulk we were after.
Nice.
And then did a significant amount of damage to the massive behemoth skeleton thing that we wound up having to fight for a completely different situation, and I'll explain about that sometime. Point is that during that was when they told me what the governors were.
Okay.
And to correct myself a little bit, Darvin wasn't cursed with Bunny because he told. Darvin was cursed into Bunny because when he was told, he tried to make a dramatic offering that went incredibly badly because he didn't phrase it right. In fact, he didn't say anything at all. And when it was taken amiss and Hazel tried to pull him back to let the very angry brass dragon who runs the place calm down, he shoved her. So he gave up.
He shoved
Hazel.
the dragon.
No, Hazel. He shoved Hazel. He's precipitate, not stupid. Usually.
Okay.
Anyway, point
Sure.
is that he laid the symbol of his barddom, his viol, at her feet. In token that, you know, he was gonna go out and make amends, but how you're gonna make amends without the tools of your trade, she had no idea. And when people were trying to help fix the damage, he effectively looked like he was starting a brawl.
Oh.
The reason,
Okay.
what they did in terms of punishment for what they told me, the problem was she had to let them be brass arrows because they had to hunt for something for a very special, turns out, sword for Remy and a couple of arrowheads for Ava. Dragon killing weapons, very specifically dragon killing weapons. So they had to let them hunt, so they couldn't fail them on the basis of that. Well, they couldn't fail them. I wasn't really part of the group at the time.
Okay.
Me being one of the brass arrows was something they wanted, so that was what they denied them. So because they told me I couldn't be a brass arrow. So I decided, you know what? Clearly, the gods did not mean for me to be a brass arrow. I'm going to go back up north and reevaluate my options, because after I went out with a group of adventurers and killed some really impressive shit, I couldn't go back to that life. I couldn't do it. So I packed up, I got on an airship, and a day out, got attacked by... okay, it was the size of an ancient red dragon, but it was the shape of a young red dragon, if you see what I mean. It's like somebody took a young red dragon and made it bigger.
Okay.
So it was a bit clumsy, slower than usual, not the same radius of fire woomph and the rest of it, but it's coming right for the ship. So I didn't want it breathing fire on the engines, I didn't want it breathing fire at the crew. So I popped the wings, grabbed my axe, which Hazel now has, and went after it, basically telling them, fly as fast as you can, fly that way, go down. I figured I could at least distract it and maybe wound it enough that it wasn't going to go back and murder a bunch of innocent people. And yeah, I punched right through one of its wings, wound up on its back, snapped that bit between its shoulder blades that let its wings work. So basically I wasn't killing it, gravity was going to kill it, I facilitated. And then I had to do a steep dive so that, because those wings only last a minute, and I didn't have the tattoo that give me 10 minutes of flight yet. So I figured if I got down far enough, maybe I wouldn't die when the wings sputtered out and I fell. Unfortunately, as I was going past it, Dragon got in a lucky flail. It touches his chest right around where the heart is, shunk right through there with an ancient dragon-sized claw. You can probably imagine what happened to me at that point.
I'm curious as to why I'm talking to somebody who seems to have died at some point.
Well, yeah, you see, the thing is that, okay, first of all, there is Revivify, but that's all Hazel has, and that only works about a minute. It's sort of grabbing the soul before it can go to the celestial plane and go, nope, wham. None of them have bigger resurrection spells, because there are spells that can do that.
I've heard stories of it, never seen it myself.
But you see, this is where it starts getting weird and why it gets into god territory. See, these guys, they will not leave a friend behind, ever, if they can avoid it. And I am not going to flatter myself about any other reasons there might have been for what happened next, but Hazel started a channel direct to Paylor, as far as I can tell anyway. And Paylor said, this can't be just diamonds and a request, it's gone too far and you don't have that power yet. Offer something. Offer a sacrifice. Flitty, the fairy dragon that follows us around, used to be blue, but gave up his blue and went backwards to green. There's a whole spell that they get as they get older, so he's just gonna skip green. Sorry, he's just gonna skip blue.
Okay.
Spell-wise, so I guess he goes to indigo when he gets old enough, or something. I don't know. And the elf you're with, he didn't know what he was doing, but he sacrificed his mastery, which meant in effect his memory. There's a long story behind that. I mean, he remembered everything. Long story aside, cut very, very short. He was dropped into a dimension of sensory deprivation nothingness for what turned out to be something like a millennium, and that messed with his head enough that he had very limited memories of his past before he got out anyway.
Oh.
He was rescued by a couple of archfey who became his warlock patrons. But basically, when he gave up his mastery, which was all the stuff he had learned in his clan, he forfeited any hope of ever getting those memories back.
Oh, okay.
He didn't realize, but he was not exactly the wisest individual in the world. Smart enough, but wisdom not so much. And then came Ree. It was a thing, and she had her vows to Tritherion, who here is a god of another justice god, but retributive vengeance.
Oh.
One of the tenets is restitution. Anyone who comes to harm through evil did so because I failed to prevent it, and I need to fix it if I can. But the thing is that she's got all these vows to be on this quest to terminate the evil that you guys saw in the Southern Lands. And she didn't know what else she had beyond that, bar from what I was told by Ziriel, everything.
Okay.
So it effectively made a pact, less with Pelor and more with Ziriel, my celestial forebear, I guess. So between that and being able to have the power to do this resurrection ritual for the heart of this barony that we're supposed to do. She's pretty much directly tied to Pelor's right-hand celestial servant.
Okay.
Same as I am, but slightly different because she's not actually literally celestial.
Okay.
But that's why Pelor is going to be a really important one in this group.
Okay.
I also kind of associate with Auril. I spent a lot of time up north, and she's of the snows. She's the goddess of winter, basically. Ever see me fight, you'll see why.
Okay.
But I've got out of character. I've got a whole list of what the pantheon is and what they're known for, and Alice will just give Barnabus a rundown of that because if he's going to be wandering around this world, and it's fine to be relatively clueless in Belrace or tromping around the Southern Lands, because in the Southern Lands they don't really like you talking about your gods anyway. Mostly because there are those cultist weirdos that you guys keep fighting, and they will, yeah. So it was fine when he didn't know then. Now he needs to know. So if you want to read through my Tumblr notes on the pantheons, that's what Alice is telling in true bardic fashion. And just talking about the various bits of myth up to and including why Tiamat is currently stuck in Avernus, through various bits of trickery from the goddess of wisdom and the goddess of fate, but also explaining that because this black tainting goo is infectious, it was going for Zivilin, the goddess of knowledge and wisdom, to infect thought itself. So what the gods did, when Ziriel went to Pelor and Nerul being our god of death, and said, "Yeah, this can't happen." So Pelor is currently keeping hold of her divinity, the bits that make her divine.
Okay.
And Nerul is reincarnating her personality in usually long-lived humanoid bodies. Currently, that incarnation is Shanaira in the basement.
I see.
They tripped over her by, I would say accident, but Istis is our goddess of fate, and I'm just thinking Istis is laughing at us all now.
Okay.
But yeah, for the rest of your guys' shopping, you'll probably catch up with them afterwards. Alice gives a truly bardic rundown of what the gods are, who
Awesome.
deals with what, and that kind of thing. Various bits of mythology, and you guys will probably come out right around the point at which Alice is describing complete with, the kind of gestures that would be speech for her people up north. Bahamut slamming Tiamat through a continent and into a furnace. But we'll get to that. You guys have Ledark looking. Well, that is definitely the look of a bard who needs to tell a story right now.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna hit the bathroom.
So,
Before we do any of this, I have admittedly not a terrible lot with the way everything has been, but I was mulling some cider.
ooh.
And do I have to ask if you want any?
I don't think you have to ask.
Yes,
Hazel.
please, very much.
Oof.
Yes, putting more of it on to mull will probably give me a moment to get my hearing back. If any of the rest of you want any, could you just nod or shake your head or raise your hand or something I can see, because I cannot hear very well. That is
I think I
better.
took a couple of points of damage off of that. Ow.
There is ringing. Your friends outside, I will keep some warm for them, and if they do not come back in, because that is looking like extensive story. Maybe I will give a couple of mugs that one of you can bring out to them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, while I pour things, you just be grateful you missed the noise Hazel just made. That was painful for me.
That went into my brain.
Yeah, I already had migraine. Thanks.
Oh no.
Anyway, yeah. So while I fix this, what can I do for you? Because you look like adventurers on a mission, with diversions for incredibly epic stories. Can I get her to come back in here and tell me a story? Because it looks like she really gets into it.
We can try. Okay. We're sort of also in
Go
need
ahead.
well, bows and possibly crossbows. We were just wondering if you had anything of that nature.
Well, you know that weapons have been largely prohibited, but I might be able to dig up something. Now, how many and what?
Well, I know I need a crossbow. Clarity mentioned either a crossbow or a short bow.
But I think she would. Her preference was the short. The
Well, no, her preference was a crossbow, but she could work with a short bow.
Mm.
I'm pretty much crossbow or nothing.
And
no, actually,
I also
I think you could technically use a short bow too. They're still pretty simple weapons. That's why Clarity said she. Translating from the Farida, that's why Clarity said a short bow would do. It's just the reason she wants a crossbow is because crossbows do more damage, not because it's a rogue-specific weapon.
Okay.
This while she's poking around at the various bits of dollhouse furniture and other toys. Just poke.
And yeah, and
Oh,
I
little
also am
wooden
going to be
puzzles.
in.
Yes, I'm sorry. Who is this now? I'm sorry. I did not think the Dragonborn got that old, or that you were necessarily breeding, sir. And Faraday just starts giggling into her puzzle.
I'm just,
That's on
just
you.
laughing.
That Froseth, I'm sorry, that's on you.
That would be my sister.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. It's just she is very young, and you are not so young.
So, something in the vein of
No, he was
Three
going
of
to.
us
He
are
was
needed.
going to say something.
There-
He has wonderful expressive face, even for dragon.
I seem to hear that a lot.
I'm just,
Alice A has an entire thing about facial journeys.
I'm giggling behind my hand and just looking at Froseth, just with an expression in my eyes to say, well?
Well,
And Faraday is now also watching, incredibly curious as to what he's going to say.
I don't even know where to go from here.
Can I explain?
Please, go ahead.
He gained the favor of impressively powerful people, and see, I'd been kind of dead, but because he was such a noble and valiant person, they gave me back. It's just that I was supposed to be older than him, but because I didn't live any of those years, they couldn't just make me older, and I probably wouldn't have wanted them to anyway. So now I am his big little sister. You are adorable.
She is. She really is.
And you.
And she's learning from Twilly.
Ooh, well then. And
Yeah.
You are. In looking at Froseth, you are one of whom the bards will, I'm sure, make much.
Quite.
Is that what it looks like when a silver dragonborn blushes? Yeah, kinda. It goes back to the puzzles.
And here I was just going to suggest you start at the beginning, go through the middle, and when you get to the end, stop. Faraday
but
did much better.
we'd be here all week if we tried that, and he'd probably try and downplay it. So I just made all his really impressive stuff more compact.
You did quite
Besides,
well.
that's what bards are for. And we
Yes.
and you have business to do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have puzzles
Before
to
we
play
digress
with.
too far.
And she goes back to the puzzles.
And if you'd like any of those, let us know.
She has that look that Froseth occasionally gets of, okay, now I just kind of don't entirely want to be there because I don't want to put anybody out, but at the same time, yeah. So I'm just gonna stand here and be really, really still until everyone stops paying attention to me.
Oh,
And
oh,
that
that's where it came from.
exactly what I was thinking. Ace.
So it's
Crossbows,
genetic.
Shoot.
Yes.
Crossbows,
Anyway.
Shoot.
We were hoping for 2 crossbows.
3. I don't have one anymore either.
Right. You gave yours to Rissy. Right.
Riswin.
Riswin is back.
Yeah. Briefly, she's now she's headed with the kids to the evacuation point.
Well, you will have to send. And turns around to Hazel. You will have to send her this, and scoops her up in a massive hug. Scrunch.
Yes, sir.
Drops her.
Ugh.
3 crossbows, but it sounds as if there was anything else, sort of thing.
Well, I mean, obviously, crossbows, ammunition of some sort, preferably interesting in nature. I think Clarity expressed a preference of fire, if I recall correctly. Yes. As for the rest, I don't know. I don't know what options would be. So.
Well, see, that is the thing. For me, it is the fletching and the shaft on either of these. I get my arrowheads for both bolts and arrows from our favorite smith. She has on occasion produced a couple of interesting bits and pieces. I do not know if I still have these. I am going to have to go and look in the back room. While I do that, somebody can, he's pouring cider while this is going on. Somebody can take a couple of mugs out to this lot.
Yeah, Ava, I was going to actually suggest you do so because I think out of all of us, you'd probably be able to not interrupt best.
Yeah. By the time Ava comes out, you're getting the and armed with that information, Bahamut lured Tiamat out to above what is now called the Shattered Lands, and the reason for this shall become evident because in the midst of their fight, Bahamut basically grabbed Tiamat and slammed her directly through the continent so hard it shoved her through, I guess, a thin bit of plains somewhere, cracked the entire continent into some really bizarre separate islands, and shoved her into Avernus, where Asmodeus, who had been lured there, obviously, by the promise of having something really impressive to subjugate, finds an injured goddess.
Okay. Barnabus is literally taking notes.
Speaking of Zorius.
The thing is that given how large Avernus is reputed to be, and Asmodeus having realms to run, he basically chained her up somewhere and only really pays attention when she's rocking the boat. Either he doesn't know how hard she's rocking the boat here yet, or there are other options, and those are all a little bit distressing. Hi, Ava. Sorry, I'm just... apparently they... Ooh, thank you. Apparently they don't have gods where he comes from.
That... So much to my surprise, I figured out that you did have them, and I didn't really know what was going on, but didn't want to talk about it much to not sound like an ignorant yokel.
And now he has been educated, and wow, he's been taking so many notes.
That's probably wise, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more bits of mythology, but on the whole, that's the basics of what you need to know that will keep you from hoof-in-mouth disease. You want to go in? Because I suddenly remember yet again that some people get cold.
I'm fine either way, but I think we can go back in.
Somebody's got to keep these guys out of trouble.
Makes sense.
And in they come, and just turns around to Riga. Did you know they don't have gods where he comes from?
I think he might have mentioned that once or twice, but he's talked about a few things that didn't really make quite much sense. No offense, Barnabas.
None
Gods?
taken.
Weirdly,
No.
None?
weirdly, angels, which are like bargain basement solars.
What happened?
But no gods.
Huh?
I don't get it either.
Here, that's the entire that's the host entire. That's solars, planetars, and everything in between. What the heck?
I mean,
The world works differently.
Yeah, I mean,
but- now
cleric.
the other thing, clerics. Speaking of which, the other thing that took me a long time to get used to is the only really clerics running around are Olzov and the bastards. They're called the Church of Deals, and basically think organized crime syndicate that can put out a lien on your soul.
Yeah, I think we have a god. I think we have a god for that. But
So I'm experiencing a bit of culture shock, you might say.
Yeah,
Or
I imagine
I've-
so.
but I
worked through most of it, but still don't.
I've regaled him with tales. I told him about what you pulled to get Ziriel's attention, by the way.
Speaking of regaling with tales, Lanark might ask you for a tale of his own. He seemed very intrigued by your skill.
Yeah.
Oh, can't blame him for that.
I believe they said you seem to really get into it.
It's how the people talk. I swear I will teach you guys bits of the language one day. And yeah, Lanark comes back out.
Pointedly not looking at your buddy, but talking about the language.
Yeah.
Given-
She's too busy enjoying the cider, and out comes Lanark. Okay, here is the situation in which we find ourselves. I have. Unfortunately, the last bow-looking thing I had was a small practice bow, which I do not think would suit any of you anyway, because it was made for someone of a 6-year-old-ish persuasion, if memory serves me. Smiling at Ava a little bit. I have 2 crossbows. I have 100 regular bolts. And let's see. This one holds it up. This one is poison bolt, I think. Clunk. This one is psychic bolt. Clunk. Okay, somebody choose for clarity, odds or evens.
Evens.
And luckily for you all, 6 firebolts. But that is all I have for specials. You may need to speak to whoever is supplying your army.
That's a good start.
Yes.
Takes a lot.
Yes, this will be 15 gold total.
For Seth,
Froseth has it.
Yeah.
has all of that.
15.
Now that the attention is off her, Faraday has gone back to the wooden puzzles.
Okay, he pulls the 15 gold out of the bag of holding and
Okay, and he
passes it over.
but parcels up your your various bits of crossbowage and hands the parcel over. Ah,
Kind
and
of
you
nudge
two,
both.
you two have returned. Was your story enjoyable, Sir Barnabus?
Oh, much and very informative. Very. He sort of looked at his notes. Really informative.
I do not suppose you could entertain a gentleman with tales of whatever adventure this lot have engaged in. No,
Is he
he's
talking
talking
about-
to Alice, yeah.
I was gonna say, you don't want Barnabas to be like, there was a thing. thing.
Oh no, that's got a certain charm. But yeah, at which point she looks at Darvin and she spins the tale of their trip to Harley Surf and Turf. With Hazel's reactions to the menu and just just the splendor of the place and the boxed music, and then she segues into the Adventurers of Abomination.
Garvin's just grinning the whole time. Yep, I did that. That was me. That was a thing. I was brilliant.
And you just have Lenark laughing. If you can ever get proper trade channels open again between Equitas and here, and I go to visit my daughter, if she ever stays in one place long enough, I must go to this place.
Is Faraday still playing with the puzzle?
Yeah, basically the bits that he's had he's had kind of only half assembled to show, what the pieces look like. She's put them all together at this point, so there's just this row of done three-dimensional puzzles, and she's moved on to puppets. I am going to have to redo the display models. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's there to be enjoyed, but I suppose now there is no point in buying them because she would not have to put them back together. It's not that fast, so
She's a smart little one.
she's got this sort of puppet displacer beast. It's kind of neat. And then the other one, kind of owlbear. Neat.
Hell, I think I kind of want those. The articulation on those is incredible.
Yeah, I mean they are surprisingly lifelike. So, oh, is business done now? But quietly.
Wait, how much are those puppets? The owlbear and the displacer beast both. How much is that?
They are 50. Each of the puppets are 50 silver a piece. No, sorry, five silver a piece because 10.
I can do that. I can do that. Yeah, Faraday, bring this over. I'm gonna go ahead and get him.
Fix them up. She also holds up a puppet fairy dragon, and Flitty from somewhere in the bag is just.
Yes. So much good.
I think we have to get that one.
Yes.
So your total is 1 gold, 5 silver. So yeah.
Okay, let me go ahead and mark that off my own, because that's all me. Okay.
If you don't want to leave them in the house in case of crunchy things, I can take care of them for you.
I would very much appreciate that. Yes. And for the record, you are free to play with them whenever you like.
I was thinking that I could put on shows for the younger ones. Maybe I could get Sunshine and Jaloy and the other little refugee fairy dragons to take part. You could have it picks up 2 of them and starts some kind of dancing. You could have a dance review.
I will. Froseth, have I mentioned how much I love your big little sister lately? Because I love your big little sister.
Hazel's just vibrating in place out of sheer joy.
Cute little bag.
Oh, perhaps you should be moving along before you wind up buying out my entire store. Not that I would disapprove of the business, but I am sure budget. Sorry, thing. Still, yes.
We have other things we should be tending to.
Yes. Luck to you all, and if I do not see you, good fortune in all your endeavors. Please do not get eaten by anything. Unless it is in the fun way and consensual.
Thank you.
Turns red, walks out the door.
I'm just not going to comment.
Hazel can no longer move, just vibrating in place, and has gone past red, and is probably somewhere in the vein of bright freaking purple.
And Alice just kind of does the fireman's carry thing. Come on, Hazel. And when she takes her out, she actually dumps her back into a snowbag to cool off.
Steam. Steam.
We both had the same thought. Love it.
I had the thought, it was just you guys both did the exact same gestures and everything.
Love you, Smeagol.
Give it about a minute or two.
Yeah, then
enough.
pulls Hazel back out of the... Nope, still a bit too...
Wait till she goes ding.
She's a bit too muffled by snow to go ding, and pulls her out. Oh, yeah,
enough.
okay, you're looking okay. Up you get. Better?
Wander over. Ding, 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 ding. See? I said wait till she goes ding.
She's not going ding, you go
Apparently.
ding.
Ah, okay.
Anyway, Edwina's.
Yes.
Although,
Yes.
given the time we are at, break time now, then Edwina's. So I'll see you in about 5 minutes. And we're back, having just left Lenark's and cooled off Hazel in a snowbank. You know, I kind of feel bad. You got Alice going. I kind of feel bad for Lenark. I mean, he's clearly trying to, yeah. It's an inclusiveness thing or something. I don't know. It's like, you know, trying to remember that there are circumstances that eat me is not a suicidal thing to say.
Yes. Yes, there is.
It was just an extended squeak.
I was trying to find a chill way to say it, okay? Don't make me put you back into the snow, Hazel. That noise, just no. And
Hey,
then back into the snow.
there's a
as
less loud squeak.
as the squeak starts, it's back into the snowbank.
Just walk over to Hazel, turn around so my back's to the snow, and just go. Poof.
What are you doing?
I didn't want her to feel alone.
Just
Grin.
Faraday flops and does the eat. I'm making. Well, I was gonna say snow planetars, but I guess because there's tail printed snow dragons.
I don't. I'm like, have a tail.
You can just make snow planetars. Then pulls Hazel back up out of the snowbank. You're done.
Mental images are done running around in my head, yes.
Yes, try these for mental images, and turns around to the snow planetar, snow dragon creating individuals. There you
Accomplished.
I have no words.
Hazel, help me up.
I'm good. Hoping Alice put me down to do that.
Thank you. I didn't want to ruin it. That came out great.
Sometimes no words is fine.
Bard?
Didn't hear that.
Bard. Bard.
Ava.
I know.
Ava. You're doing that thing.
No, it's okay, Hazel. I think we're just gonna leave it at Bard. Also, I mean, at this point, I'm barding as hard as I can so that Darwin can learn. I put my foot in my mouth a lot less than he does.
You put your foot in your mouth a lot less than the entirety of us combined.
Points at Froseth.
To be fair, that's partially because he almost never opens it.
As I said, combined, he does it so little that his influence on the total number is minimal.
Fair.
He brings down the average.
Fair point.
And we don't know what Barnabus does yet, but I think he's going to follow along the first of the lines, particularly if we make sure to mitigate for culture shock.
Which we know we need to, so awesome. Yay.
Yeah, actually, here's a good question. Where you come from? What's, like, law like?
That's a long topic.
So there's a lot of it, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay,
Where I come from is the entire world, plane, whatever you want to call it, is a gigantic city.
Okay, but I still have to ask because, okay, there's Belarus, which, as you probably know, has some laws, but a lot of those are just don't let us catch you.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Egref, which is science is not the answer. Science is the question, and the answer is always yes.
I love
That-
Agraf.
Yeah, Agraf is very much like a guild where I'm from called the Is It League.
Is that anything like
Yeah,
Is
that's-
At Lane? Which we never
Is It-
looked at.
League.
We saw like one iota of a little bit of it. We walked through it to get to somewhere, so we barely had time to stop.
So, yeah, there's law is a big deal where I'm from. It's what I was a part of more than anything else, actually.
Well, look at it this
But-
way. Beyond the usual don't kill people, don't steal shit, that kind of thing. When things get too law-ish here, it's usually a sign that something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, half the reason we knew something was going dreadfully wrong in Goldendale was that they were hiking up the taxes to stupid degrees, and they were trying to ban the use of magic. Hence the dearth of weapons from everybody but, like, Jenna, because Jenna worships the Forge, and nobody's gonna fucking stop her. And they will
Ban the
probably be
use of
sorry.
magic?
They tried!
That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, but they still tried. I mean, when we turned back up here, they were they were doing some significant damage to the townsfolk, and hurting them even worse if they found out that the clerics in the shrine over there actually went and used healing on them. And that's why we knew we had to do a thing, and that's why we murdered the adult green that was being the seneschal.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely perfect.
Well, just keep in mind that in this, most of the bits of this plane I know, it's less law and more local traditions and customs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, we don't have a city everything like you just said you did.
This is probably a little more chaotic than you're used to.
Yeah, if Bellatrace covered everything, that would be weird.
And even Bellatrace doesn't have that many laws. I mean, come on, these are the people that basically go, if you have to have a brawl in the streets, just leave, like, 15 silver in their pockets for burial money.
Yeah.
And, you know, if another merc company does you wrong, go forth and kill them if you wanna.
That actually reminds me of a certain scheduled bar fight.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about that.
These things are
No.
effective in Belarus.
Yeah, bar fights are extremely effective.
Sorry, now I'm stuck on Remy uses bar fight. It's super effective. Okay, so is everybody sufficiently calmed down?
I'm not going to start squeaking if that's what you're worried about.
Partly. Guys, you're the ones who know where Edwina's is. That's one of the places I haven't seen.
Onwards! And I'm going to start leading the way.
Yeah, I mean, the sweet shop, which is also sort of like clothing, yarn, that kind of thing, as far as you can tell from the sign, anyway. Windows are shuttered.
Going to very carefully knock.
Door opens. Not young, but not old. Dwarven woman. A couple of streaks of what is probably premature gray in her hair. Oh, Hazel.
Hello.
This is Ella, by the way. Hazel will know.
Hey, Ella. Have you been holding up?
They whipped my...
I know. That's why
It's the casual
trying
of
to
the
not bring it up.
And Alice A is going, it's the casual of the tone, Hazel.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to do anything other than certain tones. I'm just offering a hug.
And she just steps in and hugs her and... Oh, goodness, that's a lot of friends. Do you why is there
It's hard to describe.
why there's no polite way of asking why do you have the head of a bull? Why do you have hooves?
I'm a minotaur that's hollow as bone. It's okay to stare. I know I'm strange to these parts. My name is Barnabus, by the way. Pleasure to meet you.
Now it's pointing at Alice. Does her hair glow?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, you all are very interesting, but this is probably not the best place for introductions. Would you like to come in?
If we could, please.
Hope opens the door and steps in.
Would you rather some of us waited outside, maybe? A bit overcrowded?
And peers back out. It's a shop.
I meant in terms of amount of people, but not as in size, but like...
She's
Ava.
still just looking at you.
Ava, just
Ava, shop. Come on.
For those of you who have not seen Edwina's, which is a fair few of you now, the back. There seems to be a sort of a side room, which is probably the yarn and clothes and the rest of it. But the main room is. You guys never actually went to a proper sweet shop in Egrif, but it's a pretty well stocked penny candy store. Basically, you got little barrels and shelves and jars in the back, all full of various multicolored sweet things. There's a little bit of a lacking in the chocolate department, but there's mostly it seems to be, boiled candies, some kind of brittle that's probably less peanut than hazelnut, caramels and taffies and things along those lines. It's almost a trough of squidgy bears. And actually, I'm kind of glad that there's some company. It's not like we've had a lot of customers, and I had a new thing that I wanted to I've been experimenting stories that I've heard at market fairs and some things that I've heard talk about. Hang on, and steps into a little back room and comes out with a bowl of. They look like rainbow-colored beans. Just like kidney beans, but in all colors of the rainbow, and some that the rainbow has eschewed for being overly gaudy.
Are those beans?
Yes and no. They're, I suppose I could just call them sugar beans. Try one.
I will happily.
Thank you for that. Because the belching was required. Yes, it was.
Sorry.
It's okay. I tease because I care.
Remy somewhat hesitantly tries one.
What color is the one that she has selected?
Red.
It tastes like strawberry and sugar.
Huh.
And I'm gonna go for a blue one.
It tastes like blueberries and sugar.
You have managed to condense a pie into a small, sugary thing. Hearthhome is going to. Hearthhome is going to detonate the minute the rest of the kids have any of these.
Yours is sort of a mix of blackberry and raspberry, Darvin.
yay.
Provided he doesn't explode first.
No, I'm not vibrating. This is just a little happy dance.
Alice looks at two different shades of green. Munch. Apple. Munch. Mint, those flavors do not go well together.
Ooh.
That was a color.
Yikes.
Yellow. Ava's gonna go for.
Lemon. Well, actually, there's two different shades. I'm assuming you picked a very vibrant yellow, which is lemon. There's a paler.
Full sour lemon or...
Yeah, actually. So a little like.
You alright, Ava?
Yeah, it's fine. It's a little sour than I expected.
Well, there's all manner of flavors. Not half of the kinds of flavors I've heard about from bards. I mean, I've heard that there's a city across the cliffs that does ones that taste like pancakes and maple syrup and marshmallow and something called a pizza.
I'm gonna look at Alice as sort of trying to figure out, should I, with the question you look of, do I tell her?
Come on, if we're as successful as we want to be, there'll be trade, and she might even get an apprentice in.
Yeah, that city you've heard of, definitely a thing. Mom and Mama are from over there originally.
No, Mom is. Mama
Yeah,
was from.
I'm saying from across the cliffs.
No, because Miranda's from Starcoast. The Hearth, remember?
I remember Hazel's just really simplifying.
And Alice A, who has a much better memory, is looking and going, huh?
Well, Mom
Hazel-
is from here. Mom's from there. Mama's from here. It's a whole extensive thing. It's just they're both familiar with that side of everything, and Mom basically was born in the very same city that does all of these flavors and
Well, I know a
things
I know a little bit about it also through some traders that have traded usually on market days whole barrels of squidgy bears that I heard go over or through the cliffs, or did, but apparently things have been a bit rough all over.
We're looking to fix that and make the stuff going over and through the cliffs a more common occurrence. So,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, and Alice says, like, I think she was just in that usual wind down phase. Go ahead.
Okay. One of the reasons that we wanted to come by, well, I know for myself, I did actually want to go ahead and get some of the squidgy bears. Definitely on my list, but also, is there anything that you need getting settled in, figuring out what is next, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. The people at the shrine have been very helpful, and we were pretty well stocked, so, and I'm okay for the time being. I mean, obviously, any trade beyond just squidgy bears is
Yes.
always useful. And I mean, you've given a taste test to my sugar beans, and that's
Quite wonderful.
That's something.
I would, and if you have enough on hand, I would definitely like to take some with us as well.
It'll be a good judge of what I should be charging for them when business picks up again. But no, I'm not planning on going anywhere, because I'm hoping that with an army and heroes turning up. We'll get back to normal and maybe better. So,
That is the goal.
and Alice in slightly struggling Dwarven, because she really doesn't know very much but the swear words. Are you going to miss speaking Dwarven with persons? And in obviously very fluent Dwarven, probably yes, but maybe if we have more trade, we'll have more people who speak it. Alice is looking at Darwin and then looks at, I know, but let them come at it at their own pace. Jackass. So yeah, I've never been in a shop quite like this before, so I'm probably gonna want to browse a bit, if that's okay. Of course. If you're looking for woolens, thread, wool, yarn, just through there, I think some of you know. And Hazel can show you around as well. I'm gonna see what I've got for sugar beans. I think I've got a small barrel.
Wonderful. And I'll go, well, one, Hazel, I know it's a bit on the nose, but you want some of this hazelnut brittle?
Which is
One of my favorite, you ridiculous person.
I know.
I was going to subject you all to it.
I think you did some not too long back, but everybody else, yes.
Not everyone not everyone here has been
Right.
here. It's just you and Froseth and possibly Remy.
no, actually, I think it would have been Clarity.
Yeah, Clarity.
Yeah, it would have been Clarity. Yeah, you're right. It was definitely Clarity. I just wasn't sure if Remy had been here or not.
No.
And if you haven't, you're getting some of the hazelnut brittle.
Anyway,
Okay, let's get some hazelnut brittle.
now that that's settled, I'm gonna go browse the yarn and see if I can find a few nice skeins for there to be workings on while get another distraction type of thing.
Yeah, there's plenty of yarn of various types. Apparently, if you want good knitting needles, you speak to Lenark, but they've probably got stuff at home. There's also spools of thread, sort of macrame thread kind of stuff, and some various bolts of cloth and that kind of thing, along with the small rack of ready-made bits and pieces. But there's nothing particularly special. You cleaned, you cleaned them out last time, and then of course didn't actually wear the thing and wound up having Zana turn it into spiffy gloves.
Yeah, I'm basic, and I'm going to whirlwind people through my personal favorites, basically subjecting Remy, Barnabus, and Ava to each one.
And Alice,
Well, Alice,
I'm letting Alice say browse. I'm not getting anywhere.
that's
near
fair. That's fair. You are wiser than you look. So hey.
Yeah, so,
See, I know.
I mean, there's the maple and hazelnut brittle. There's bonbons that are mostly blackberry, strawberry, apple. There's obviously the squidgy bears, which you all have been subjected to in one form or another.
Usually by Evan.
Licorice
I'm
of
just
both
watching.
licorice of both the black and strawberry varieties.
I'm just watching Barnabas and Remy and Ava to see which one causes a moment of, ooh, this is nice, and which one causes a religious experience for poor Barnabas.
I can't see Remy having very much in the way of religious experience if it's not actually God. She's had too much to do with actually gods to.
Yeah. like which one in Remy's case and Ava's case, what gives a "ooh, this is nice" sort of brief expression? Like any like brief flashes of "this is I like this" over everything else, and watching Barnabas for the moments of "what."
Oh. Considering waffles was a nigh-on religious experiment, you're not wrong.
This is exactly why I'm keeping my eyes on the other two more carefully than Barnabas, because Barnabas's facial journey is going to be loud.
Froseth, you have some competition.
And of course,
I am okay with that. It draws attention away.
Of course, there's also Faraday, who's just poking into just about everything. Not touching, because obviously this is food, but peek.
Curious little thing.
Is there anything of sufficient height that Faraday would need a boost up briefly?
Probably not, because if there is, she will climb.
I'm just waiting to see how she is.
You froze. Oh, did you freeze?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ah, jeez.
Sub-Zero win.
I don't know. I'm thinking more along the lines
You
of the
are
80s.
going to fucking stop that. Thank you.
There he is.
Yeah,
I'm
you
waiting for the
froze
credits to
briefly,
start
Smeagol.
I had a massive lag spike where for me everyone else froze, and clearly I froze for you guys. So what did I miss?
Not much, because this jackass was doing Mortal Kombat riffs.
One! I did one!
Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that's the thing. You because you're bouncing between like 4 different people, so occasionally you're sort of looking at Faraday, and she's just climbed bits of the counter so she can lean her snout on this. Just goes. And tail just.
So much adorbs.
I'm watching them all.
I don't think Smeagol is going to let you let you off without picking something.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for a reaction here. Any kind.
Ava would probably respond most to anything strawberry.
The strawberry bonbons are quite good, actually. Sort of, they sort of start a bit. They're just these round little globes. They look like they're covered in powdered sugar. They start just a tiny bit tart, and then you crunch through a thin outer layer of sugar, and it's just inside strawberry, sugary squish.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably getting the reaction you're looking for when Ava is presented with a strawberry bonbon.
There we go.
Barnabas?
After that,
Barnabas is a rather large fellow in a place filled with glass, so he's kind of like, I'm not gonna break anything. Not gonna break anything.
Yeah.
To be fair, actually most of it on the floor is barrels,
Mm-hmm.
and all the glass is behind the counter. Remember,
Okay.
there are kids in here. Besides, as Ella will explain, I wouldn't worry about it. We learned our lesson about keeping anything delicate on the floor when Hazel was 8.
that's an entire story, and it will probably be very, very amusing to everyone.
Short form, she was trying to handle a jar of our apple bonbons and dropped it.
Oh dear.
Apple bonbons everywhere.
Oh, God.
We were picking them out of the wainscoting for a week.
Dear. Oh wait.
I think you now all. I think those of you who saw it now understand why the crockery incident happened.
To be fair, Froseth and Darvin have heard this story before. Edwina told it to them.
I have a.
able to admit to it right then.
I have an extended history with things decided with my body not completely following my commands and me being a klutz.
You were, if I remember right, you were running towards one of the newest little siblings going, you gotta try this, you gotta try this, you gotta try this, whoops, smash.
Yeah, that sounds like Hazel.
Yeah, that sounds like Hazel. Heart in the right place, feet not necessarily so much.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the enthusiasm causes catastrophic limb failure.
Often. But you're better. You are better.
Yes, and in any case, Barnabas, from the sounds of it, it looks like Hazel is offering you tasters of things.
Yeah.
Well, he will gladly accept everything that's put in front of him, and I.
Which thing sets off the...
I don't know why, but I'm thinking rock candy.
I was actually,
Yeah.
To be fair, I was thinking more along the lines of the various different flavors of fudge.
Ah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fudge.
actually, yeah.
Because there's about 5 or 6 different flavors of this stuff. So you've got. This is one of the few places where you can actually get chocolate, because it's just the chocolate powder and the things. So you've got chocolate, butterscotch, vanilla, strawberry.
Have you ever seen a 6-foot-something minotaur cry?
Would you like to?
'Cause
Well, we have
if
now.
you don't want to see that, I suggest you avert your eyes.
So Hazel's got more than just religious experience. Hazel has,
Oh,
from
boy.
Barnabas, has got that. Also, Hazel probably carries a handkerchief. Just saying.
just the handkerchief pops up into his view.
Thank you. Madam, this is fantastic. I can't even. He's stammering and.
We're gonna take him to that. We're gonna take him to that chocolate place in Egref, and his head's gonna explode.
I'll bring a towel.
Remy, I'm just gonna
And
sidle up to Remy.
Yeah, Faraday kind of leans up to Barnabas and goes, "There's a place in Egref. It's called Toothsome, and they have all kinds of chocolate desserts riding around on little conveyor belts. So you pick up the one you want, and the color of the plate determines how much each one costs. And it's little nibbles, so you can get whole bits and pieces. And they have this little mechanical thing that shows you to your seat that has little signs.
Mhm.
And there's another one that has like some kind of coffee hot chocolate maker thing in it
Oh.
that wheels up to you and has mugs, and it just fills up the mugs and hands them out until it runs out of people to hand them to, and then goes away somewhere else.
What was the name of this place again?
Toothsome.
Toothsome. Toothsome.
Don't worry, we're definitely gonna go back there again. Darvin spent like 2 gold there.
Well, I'm gonna sidle up to Remy. So, anything?
Remy gets something chocolatey.
There isn't that much in the way of chocolate. In fact, pretty much the only thing that's chocolate is the fudge.
She gets some fudge.
Keeping it simple.
Good to know. 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 Good to know.
As Hazel is sort of hovering around Remy, Alice just sort of grabs her by the collar on the back of the shirt and yoink. You know what she's like.
Yeah,
Leave her alone.
I am now. That's all I needed.
No, you don't hover around her looking for what you need. If you want information from her, just fucking ask.
I was hoping for it to be half a surprise at least, but I guess that didn't work.
How have you've traveled with her longer than I have, and you don't... Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Next time, ask me. You want to surprise her? Ask me. Don't hover around her for sake. Besides, if nothing
Yeah,
else, I
so-
can help. Seriously,
That's clearly getting processed.
some people don't like it when you hover. Makes them uncomfortable, and they might not actually relax enough to give the reaction you're looking for anyway. This is supposed to be a fun trip, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know. Just about everybody else, probably. But seriously, read the room. Also, thank you very much for leaving me alone.
Yep.
I mean, I have a feeling this is more of this is not exactly a mango place, but if you are curious, I am. My favorites include strong mints, although not when blended with apple, because that really just did not work.
No, it didn't. I
Anything
do remember the mango thing.
anything with maple sugar, because maple is an awesome thing. Strawberries are nice. Not as good as mango, but
Thank you.
there's the same sort of sweet tart flavor profile thing going on. But there you go. And yeah, Remy, keep it simple. Chocolate. Lots of it. Pat.
I'm gonna go over to Froseth, and now that I know what everyone wants, I'm gonna basically look to get one of each thing they want, like in a personal package sort of deal.
Yeah. Basically, you're looking at anywhere between 2 to 5 coppers per scoop. Little scoops, but still. So you're probably looking, because Alice says, like, if you really want to use your brain power on something, pick up something for clarity.
Yeah, that's gonna go try and recall. Once I get the stuff for everyone else that I'm gonna hand out later, I'm gonna like take a minute to try and rack my brain and remember what Clarity liked out of the last time we were here.
She was very fond of squidgy bears, but mostly for her, it's just about anything sweet. She is made of sweet tooth.
One of everything.
Ella, this might be a bit of a bother, but well, I guess that's pretty much. I'm sort of his uncle. He has a tendency to like to secretly gift bundles of squidgy bears. So I was hoping I could get a fair number, but in gnome-sized bunches that could be easily slipped into pockets.
Having been around the Hearthhearts for as long as I have, I think the fun part for anyone doing that, or at least part of the fun, is making the bundles. So what you probably
That's a fair point.
What you probably want is a decent length of cheesecloth and some thread that can be gifted along with them, so that he can make his own interesting parcels. I mean, I've got our remnants basket, and so he could do colors and patterns and things if that's.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. You are absolutely right. Yeah.
And brings out a mid-sized basket full of just scraps that are too small to do anything else with. Although, given Zana, there's probably also a chance that could be turned into like ribbons or that scrunchy thing that some of them wear sometimes. Just the thing that appears to be elastic, tucked into a cloth support or something. You don't really know, but you could probably, depending on how much the entire basket costs, just go here.
I'm just going to ask, how much for the basket?
Basket included would be a gold.
I can do that. And this is worth it.
And she throws in a couple of skeins of macrame thread as well. She does one that's been interestingly dip dyed so that it's different colors all along its length. So she chucks in a couple of those.
That's brilliant. Okay, yeah, that and a good amount of squidgy bears and at least a good sampling of the beans. I'd like to see how the kids, what the kids think of those as well.
Yeah, I mean, total for, enough for all the kids of both. Although I imagine that mostly the squidgy bears are going to Evan to just go distribute.
That's pretty much my intent, yes.
Yeah, you're still looking at that plus the basket being a 2 gold total.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I would say it goes for like 3 silver worth of mixed bits and pieces. Shunk, shunk. Thanks
Process basically just gonna go for those if the
green tea
still has
things?
The green tea things, yeah.
So she actually presents them to Frozeth with she spoke highly of you and made sure I had the recipe.
He'll respond in Dwarven. Thank you very much for
And
doing
in
that.
Dwarven, she says, and there is exactly why. She missed home a terrible lot, and she only ever heard Dwarven from me, so having someone else who spoke it was... I think it's one of the first times she smiled in about a decade. So yeah, you probably gets like a silver's worth of those, so...
Okay.
Ponders for a minute and then goes, "Hey Hazel, you haven't been around Lissy long enough to know what kinds of things she likes."
Well,
give me straight wisdom.
yeah, because I recall it was her or Candor who I think Candor no sweets. Lissy had a mysterious flavor she didn't quite get.
Yeah, but roll me wisdom just to see if you've paid attention to what else.
17.
If you recall correctly, she was quite fond of apple. Apple and cranberry is sort of a second, so a bit like you. That's why you noticed.
Apple and cranberry to start, and there was also this candy I got handed that tasted of whatever someone liked most in terms of sweets, and it produced a mystery flavor for her that we couldn't quite place.
How did she describe it? If I recall correctly, that was green. No, Evan was green. It was the synesthesia. Let me think. See if she could give any. I mean, if I remember correctly, you mostly got sweet, but the iffiness she sounded about it probably meant that it wasn't entirely sweet, so it probably wasn't a fruit flavor because she'd seemed to have tried an awful lot of fruit around the homestead, so if it was even close to something like that, it would have been... So there was another element to the flavor that she was trying to describe. That...
Sweet. So sweet, but not entirely. Wasn't anything fruit related. There was some part of it that she was trying to describe but couldn't quite get there.
Oh. Rummages around and gets another 5 coppers worth of what she holds up and says, "I have a feeling saltwater taffy."
Hmm.
I mean, she's the, if I remember right, she's the child of sailors.
Mm-hmm.
Follower of the ocean lady. If it's a sweet but with something extra, odds are pretty good it's going to be saltwater taffy. So we'll try it and see how it goes.
Yep. And also, Evan got as a result of the candy that tastes like things as green.
I have no idea. I have no response to that. There are a lot of green things in the world, and there's a thing that happens with some people's heads where they hear scents and apparently see flavors.
Well, that just leads me back to the squishy bears and stuff you got before. So I'm just going to continue amassing packages for everybody.
Yeah, you're gonna come up to a full goal just by yourself.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm by myself, and that's not even including any things I get for myself, which is going to be both the brittle and but this is in large part Froset's fault. I'm going to end up asking about the green tea orbs.
I've already been asked about those. I have the recipe. They will continue to be made.
Thank you. And I'm going to offer another hug.
There is one thing I was experimenting with, which you might be interested in. It's another globe. This time it's a rather bright red. Offers it to Hazel.
This is getting immediately tried enthusiastically.
It's apple cranberry.
Everyone here is very familiar now with the I can see through time expression.
Oh, that went over very well.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is
The hair
that
is starting to gibbly up, and you. There's like you can see the vibration starting. There's going to be a squeak in a few seconds if someone doesn't put a hand over her face.
Alice does reach her, and so Ava and Alice from either side.
And the only reason Darvin didn't is I got my hands full of basket.
Just
looks at the two of them. Thank
and
you.
Finally runs back down.
Okay, I think she stopped shaking now. I think we can take her hands up. Okay. What did she give you?
Something beyond spectacular.
And Alice just, those green globes, like that, but apple cranberry. Of course, Darvin knows exactly what that means.
Those are her two favorites.
It's more that Twilly's apple cranberry preserves are kind of famous around here.
It's very hard for me to be able to phrase what I'm trying to say right now, just beyond thank you.
Shall I add some of these to your personal?
Very much, yes.
Hazel, I suggest you save those for when we're out. I think those would be a very good reminder of home when you need it.
Yeah, that is very much the plan.
Good idea.
Alice sort of gives Darvin a look that says, "Distract Hazel for a second, would you?"
Hey, Hazel. Reaches in, grabs one of the beans. Bean. I don't even know what color I got. I just reached in.
I don't know. Am I able to catch this thing without proceeding to slam into something?
I didn't throw it.
Paranoid of doing
No,
so.
didn't throw it. He shoved it into your mouth the way you do with stuff.
Yeah.
And given that was rolling the hand of fate, that was a different shade of red. That was also apple cranberry.
Oh god.
Oh no!
And just gone.
But it worked.
And while she's distracted, Alice buys another bag of those apple cranberry globes to stash about her person in case Hazel runs out.
My
We're all
heart.
ridiculous. This is entirely too adorable, and I think I have just taken 2 D20s worth of cute damage.
I mean,
Forget rolling D10s.
We can roll that. Yeah.
Oh boy.
You lucked out. That's double 7s. You know you're supposed to be random, right? So yeah, that's 14 points of cute damage.
Made me laugh myself fuzzy.
There is much purchasing to be had because the kids are going to have the stock to end all stocks of sweets by the time I'm done.
Yeah. Of course, Faraday can actually pick her own stock, and it really is just tiny bits of every single thing in the store. It completely indiscriminately. I'll pick favorites later.
I mean, that's a good way to think about it.
But-
I know what you prefer and try lots of things.
But eventually, beyond Hazel and Hazel, Darwin, and Furseth, who've picked their own bits and pieces, I'ma say that y'all spent about, we'll say a silver, because it's, a couple of coppers for a small scoop. So you've got your bag, which mostly those of you who maybe aren't all that into sweets probably largely got because Hazel was not going to stop looking at you until you got something.
Barnabus is buying 3 gold worth of assorted fudge.
Oh.
Beyond what apart from what Remy has taken, because I imagine Barnabas is quite polite and lets her have her bit of chocolate fudge. 3 gold clears it out.
I know what I said, and I'm sticking to it.
And you have Ella going, well, I know what I'm making tonight.
And here I was gonna get him some, and he's just gotten all the rest of it.
I mean, 3 gold is an awful lot of fudge.
That's a lot of fudge. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. It's like, here I got him enough to be as a pack enough in a package, which was the small amount that eventually added up to the full gold. Then there's that.
Yeah, so Remy picked hers, and
He knows what he likes.
And Hazel picked hers, and Faraday got 1 piece of each, and then all the rest of it went to Barnabas.
And I'm just like having basically been working on the packages, and I'm just looking at this and, Okay, I have plans.
Would Ava know anything about what Dawn likes? Probably not.
And now we roll the Hand of Fate. Ava will notice, just going through for her various bits of money, you'll notice a very small, tightly folded piece of paper in her pocket.
Where did that come from? Hold it out.
Very, very tidy handwriting. I've noticed that Dawn has taken a shine to you and vice versa. Just so that you're aware, she is quite fond of the strawberry licorice things. Love, Miranda.
Then I shall proceed to get some of that.
That was a nat 20 on the Hand of Fate roll. So Miranda notices everything.
She's a mother. Cool.
She's a mother. She's a combination ranger rogue. Yeah.
Her wisdom is max.
Perception are us.
Yeah, pretty much. In any case, after your various bits of shopping, out you head, and Alice kind of taps Ava on the shoulder, draws her back a little bit, and hands her a small sack. I found these. I thought you might find them interesting.
Begin.
They're sort of off-green with reddish-brown flecks in them, kind of bonbon things. I noticed you were big on apple pie, so those are kind of apple cinnamon bonbons.
Oh, thank you. Try one.
Yeah, there's a lacking of the crust, although there is an almost buttery undernote to it that could kind of substitute for pastry.
Slightly different, but very similar at the same time.
Well, I know that nostalgia isn't always, how best to put this, not always pleasant, but the good probably outweighs the bad, so figure hold on to the good bits, and why not do it with flavor. Pat, pat.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to wait to get anything nice for Ree until we're in some place that actually does chocolate. I was gonna get some of the chocolate fudge, but she already got some, and then Barnabus just... Not that I grudge you, man! You do you!
This guy walking out with an entire barrel of fudge.
It's a large sack, certainly.
Which is probably going to end up him at some point referring to his fudge sack and then going, wait, that sounded horrible.
At this point, once we're out, I'm going to just hand each person who I got individual packages for their color-coded packages.
So that's what the staring was about.
I am not subtle.
No, you're not.
No,
But we love
I
you
can-
anyway.
If we wanted subtle, we'd have asked Clarity to do it.
and Clarity had better uses for her subtlety.
Yeah, I can be observant, but subtle while being such new.
Love you, Hazel.
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all. I love every single one of you.
Now, before we leave town, have we forgotten anything?
I actually don't think so.
No, we have not, though there is a certain individual who
No.
last time...
No!
No,
Nope.
we wait until town is back to normal before we cause a cataclysm.
What?
Works for me.
Long story.
We have the walk home.
Okay.
Yeah, we can explain the gossipy nightmare then.
Oh, yeah.
Did we wait for Clarity?
No, she said she'd
No.
catch us up.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And we don't know how long she's gonna be, so... And we didn't tell her a meeting place because she was gonna catch us up at home.
That's true.
Yep.
Let's go then.
And I said, on the walk back, there was a... As brief as they can make it, if only because Hazel starts ranting every time it comes up, explanation of a Tanner slash quasi-town librarian named
Mhm.
Felicia, whose gossip nightmarishness was part of the reason why magic got banned in town, and B, Twilly got arrested. Excuse me.
Oh. Gotcha.
And they explain about the first time they went up into Vendron's hold, and the rug that tried to eat them, and the bargain
okay.
basement beholder, a spectator.
The angriest eyeball in existence.
No,
Oh.
definitely not the angriest eyeball in existence. I've heard of much angrier eyeballs.
Yeah. That Yeah, that's more correct. It was the angriest one we'd ever encountered. And now, thanks to Alice, we know there was far angrier.
Yeah, that remind me one day when we actually don't want to sleep ever again to explain to you the vast varieties of beholders that exist.
Hmm.
I think after we finish this current objective.
Because when we start getting into cultist weird, it wouldn't surprise me if multi-tentacled, multi-eyeballed eyeballs are a thing that happen.
Yeah.
When you get into Hearthhome proper, there's food everywhere. Every available surface has a different dish on it. At which point, Chili's went, well, Barnabus didn't know what his favorite was, so we had some things that we had to use up because we're going to be going away and they might spoil, and we didn't have time to properly treat them, so, I mean, I could have sped things up a little bit, but instead I thought, why not have a find your favorites buffet?
It's a good idea.
Okay, after everything at the sweet shop and everything, Darvin's just happy tears, just my heart.
And he is then dogpiled by hugging children.
Okay, that's it. It's just a
When
blubber
you're all done,
lump.
I have packages for everyone.
And looking at me, he needs hugs first.
Yeah, that's why I said when you're done.
And
At which point Miranda taps Hazel, probably given somewhere around the middle of the back. Perhaps you could wait on the parcels until after they've had real food put in them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Everyone's surprises are going to have to wait.
And I'm just going to lean up to Miranda. Where do you want me to stash these for the moment, then?
You can put them in toys in my bedroom.
Right. I'm just going to quietly
Yep.
move off to go deal with that, so hopefully no one notices.
Well, just about everybody is hugging Darvin, apart from, like, Candor and Keth and Lissy, who are still bringing food and trying to find spaces on surfaces. And then, of course, there's Ava, who's got butterscotch bumbling across the floor at her. Boom, boom, and sitting and sort of looking at her in this weirdly reproachful kind of way, and a sort of a, you're not going to just keep leaving me here, are you? You're going to take me with you places.
Oh, I'll give him a squeeze.
It actually tries to scramble into her bag so that she doesn't get behind again. Scrub.
Alright.
after a few minutes, Darvin will finally pull himself together. Sorry about that. It was all just. God, I love you people.
Well, there's other people that we need to pick that need to figure out favorites too. I mean, Kendra doesn't really know. Yeah, if as long as it doesn't poison me, I don't care. We're going to fix that.
Yeah. When I turn
really
up back
will.
from hiding things, I'm going to just join in putting food in wherever it can be found.
Yeah, I mean, there's whole roast fowl and stews and there's a jugged hare thing in that general direction, and just about any kind of simple, homey country food you can think of is represented. And yes, people are far more subtly than Hazel usually does watching Barnabas to see what kind of thing he appreciates most.
We'll have to come up with that answer next session because I'm not sure myself at the moment. But I am taking suggestions. And one thing I do want to, Barnabas is like beside himself. He just met you people. He's been
welcome to
alone.
Hearthhome.
No, but he's been alone for like a couple years now in a world that's not his own at all. So he's really emotional. Put it that way.
And I mean, and I know you were with, Darwin probably is. So I know you were with the Merc Company and all, but and there's a certain amount of camaraderie there. But yeah, this is a totally different thing. Welcome, Barnabas. Welcome.
Yeah, I have a feeling that one of the things that will particularly appeal to Barnabas is there's a pretty sure it's lamb shank that's been cooked for longer than it should have had to cook, but you're dealing with a wizard, so fuck it. In a sort of a red wine, garlic, and onion sauce with other vegetables.
It's like,
yeah, that's
what's that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm seeing that as meaty enough for Barnabas's taste, but also interestingly flavored enough to be more than just I roasted this over a campfire. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly when you have it over Twilly's herb mash and honey roasted parsnips.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like
That's basically hit every single button at once, hasn't it?
it hit buttons Barnabas didn't know existed.
Those are the best.
Kind of like the green tea spheres did that for Process way back when that first happened.
And but more like Hazel gets her buttons hit like that all the time.
Oh yeah,
Because Froseth has had most of his young life learning to calm his emotions. He's basically a freaking Jedi.
Yep. That's why I say enough. That's why I referenced that at all, because it's Jedi briefly having a moment of "Oh my, this is amazing," is equivalent to Barnabas and Hazel going squee.
Yeah, Barnabas is at this meal. Barnabas is probably near tears again.
No,
Process
probably
and
about
Barnabas
it.
probably have pretty similar arcs with coming into the whole Hearthhome thing, because Froseth did not feel like he belonged for a while, even though.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't for lack of trying on their part.
No,
believe me.
No.
And yeah, when Barnabas starts with the tears, he does get hugs from the two kids sitting on either side.
Mm-hmm.
Darwin just raises his glass to Barnabas, just like I said, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I mean,
Behold, Hearthhome.
well, you're going to be speaking to people, and then we're going our separate ways for a little while. Celebratory, and you can also potentially help by if there's any left over after any of this, bringing some of it out to your old company. That you should probably explain that you're going adventuring instead of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good idea. I do have to put in my resignation.
I'm fairly sure if you bring Remy with you and invoke Quest from the Gods, it'll be accepted.
Are leave of absence is a thing in mercenary companies? Remy?
Depends on the company.
And all I say is,
fair
like,
enough.
also keep in mind that leave of absence, aren't we trying to help him get back home?
Point.
They don't need to know that part.
They know. I didn't say they needed to know that part. I'm just saying that. But if you do it leave of absence, won't they want a time limit on it?
Oh no, I didn't mean. I just meant in general. I was curious.
Well,
Mercenaries come and go, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're used
Fair
to
enough.
it. Except for someone like Carter, who is a little bit more
Well,
problematic.
I mean, he came and went.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong, but it's like you're also right in the worst way you could be right.
Isn't that me all over?
Well, and Twilly's like, well, the quick flight diminutives had maternity and paternity leave, but we did want to give time so that we could find a fill-in spot. Generally speaking, for maternity or paternity leave, it was a year. The last few months, and then the rest of it to help take care of the infant.
Glory to the quick flight diminutives.
I think I'm going to put in my actual resignation, not a leave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No,
like I
that's
said,
that's entirely fair. It's just there was a point of curiosity raised, and I can only tell you how I used to do it when I was running things, but
Right.
I have a feeling I was probably a bit more generous than most, but it seemed to work out well enough for it.
Oh, it's certainly generous, trust me, but I was only working like this is to avoid starvation, and I've no ties to or desire to be a mercenary for the rest of my life, put it that way.
We wouldn't exactly shame you if you did. I mean, I ran a mercenary company for years.
Mhm.
There's an entire ballad about that mercenary company.
In
and
fact,
how absolutely amazing
and
you
yes,
are.
Barnabus has heard that one, and he's seen the painting in the guild's hall.
Mhm.
But they say it like it's just an everyday thing because they don't want to give themselves errors, really.
Mhm. Well, Barnabus is not trying to put aspersions on anything. It's not the life that he wants, you know.
No, and it's pretty clear they understand that too. It's just anyway. While I know you don't, you've grown up perfectly well without a couple of halflings. Anyone who's in our care, we like to at least try to make sure they have what they want in life.
Well, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
I think we have the ideal dessert for you too.
He's sort of like tries to hide the giant sack of fudge behind him.
He spent 3 gold on fudge.
Well, that's just as well because the Edwina's, which I suppose we're calling it for now anyway, needs the business. And second of all, it does mean probably that my guess has been somewhat right, and shoves a good-sized slice of it's not quite a pie. It's got a sort of a flat pastry crust, and it's sort of a creamy thing covered in a light brown sauce. Butterscotch cheesecake.
Oh. Barnabas will be eating that as polite as he possibly can, which is not very.
Because he is in fact a Minotaur.
No, it's also
Look,
because he is in fact enjoying it way too much to slow down. Hazel's usual nom 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 nom.
Just progressively accelerating.
You can see him trying to fight it, and it's not going well.
It's Darvin's. I need that in my face right now.
Just accelerating through the gears.
We're a little bit early, but because Clarity would probably be coming in at the tail end of dinner, and I don't want to miss too much, we'll call it there, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time when you may actually get on the road.
Nice.